to smell the morning in a world washed fresh and clean. Now the storm has left its warning, and we see a hint of green. Pale gray light grows strong and golden and release us from our pain, where we rocked for endless days on a sea of endless grace. Now we sing a song of praise. Ain't it good now? Ain't it good to see the sun again? When my ears were filled with thunder, and when my soul began to shake, there were times I truly wonder if those clouds would ever break. But no storm would last forever. We felt so helpless then. Now we raise a joyful chant for a glimpse of olive plant. Haven't seen one since I can't remember when. Oh, when it goes. Our hearts are dancing. Oh, when it goes. We got a second chance, and for now we're done with fearing. We might be the final generation in a dawn that's new and fresh. Open wide this floating crash and deliver every precious specimen. Ain't it good to see the sun again? My Lord. After all those nights we stood, smelling right like a firewood. Ain't it good to see the sun again?
Wow! What a way to start the evening. Welcome, everyone, to the ERA Coalition First Annual Living Equality Awards. I'm Deborah Messing.
And I'm Caroline Clark. Thank you to Broadway's Rebecca Naomi Jones for that thrilling performance of Ain't It Good? And it is, in fact, really good because we are all gathered here tonight to celebrate that for the first time in 99 years, our Congress has unflinchingly declared that women's equality is a priority in the United States of America.
We are gathered together tonight to both celebrate and to plan, to celebrate the passing of HJ Resolution 17 and to plan for a successful vote in the Senate and an equal future when the 28th Amendment is enshrined in the Constitution. We can turn our energies into ensuring that racial and gender equity touch every aspect of American life.
The ERA Coalition has expansive plans and programs designed to usher this country into a new era where racial and gender equity is finally written into the Constitution and becomes an integral part of American life.
This is where all of you come in. Everything we do here at the ERA Coalition is dependent on your generosity and your commitment to an equal future. So we want to give back. We have some special rewards for members of our audience who donate tonight during the show.
You may have noticed the 28th Amendment necklaces that Deborah and I are wearing tonight. They're not that easy to see. I guarantee you they are really beautiful. And our first 20 donors tonight who donate $100 will each be getting their very own 28th Amendment necklace.
And in honor of our friend and board member Gloria Steinem, the first 25 people who donate $500 will get a t-shirt featuring Gloria and Dorothy Pittman Hughes signed by Gloria. When you donate, you'll also see your name appear here on the screen. So let's go. I want to see everyone's name up here tonight.
Head to the URL you see on your screen, eracoalition.org/donate to donate.
We have a marvelous evening planned for you, an evening that includes awards given in the name of some of this country's greatest heroes, including Shirley Chisholm, Pauli Murray, Alice Paul, Gloria Steinem, and of course, the late Honorable Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We'll have performances by some of Broadway's most powerful stars, including Karen Olivo, Stephanie Block, Celia Keenan-Bolger, and Laura Bell Bundy, and special guests that include one of the first female Olympic skateboarders and the winner of 39 Grand Slam tennis titles.
But first, it is our honor to introduce you to the President and CEO of the ERA Coalition and the Fund for Women's Equality, the phenomenal Carol Jenkins.
Well, talk about phenomenal. You two are phenomenal, Caroline and Deborah. You're both amazing friends of the coalition and the fund, and we're so appreciative of your being here tonight and everything else that you've done. And thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight. It is just a joy for us to have you in the room. It's going to be fun. It'll be memorable. And on behalf of our staff, our boards of directors chaired by Kimberly Peeler Allen and Mona Sinha, our advisory council co-chaired by Jamia Wilson and Camille Massey, and the more than 120 organizations in the coalition who partner with us in the work to add the ERA to the Constitution. Tonight's event raises funds to power our work in the U.S. Senate, to remove the time limit on the ERA, and to plan for a just and equal society in the very near future. Special thanks to our corporate partners, Diageo and its Jane Walker brand, and Broadstream. To our entire host committee, you'll see their names during the broadcast, and some godmothers of our work, Ann Delaney, Ruth Ann Harnish, Fran Zone, Jenny Warburg, and board member Suzanne Lerner. A special note to the Novo Foundation and the New York Women's Foundation for their generous support. And we give a bow to our board member, Heidi Schreck, for bringing Broadway into our lives tonight. It's going to be so much fun. Everyone have a wonderful time. I do want to make a note to thank filmmakers Julie Cohen and Betsy West for the wonderful clips to introduce our Lifetime Equality Award to Ruth Bader Ginsburg and our Pauli Murray Awards. Those clips come from their brilliant documentaries about those two incredible women. Please make sure to see them. Now I'll turn it over to Kimberly. Kimberly.
I ask no favor for my sex. All I ask of our brethren is that they take their feet off our necks.
Hey, yo, forget the bull in the china shop. There's a china doll in the bullpen. Walk with the switch, fire in the fist, biting at the bit, swinging every pitch. Coach put me in like, forget the bull in the china shop. There's a china doll in the bullpen. It's all in the wrist, five from the hip. Talk a little shit, roll thick, hold quick. Let's begin like
26, 25, 24, 23, 21, 20, 19.
Oh, she was definitely in better shape than I am. I am so proud to introduce our Lifetime Equal Rights Award. The essence of a Lifetime Equal Rights Award lies in the relentless pursuit of gender equality, in the courage and tenacity needed to keep standing up to discrimination, repression, and even violence. It is about the love of humanity and feminism to always see the path forward, no matter the odds, because when we win freedom, we are fulfilling our purpose in life. The late, great, amazing Ruth Bader Ginsburg walked the walk of equality. She showed us by example what it looks like to spend a lifetime fighting for equal rights. I am honored to give this award, though posthumously, to the Honorable Justice of the Supreme Court, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, for her lifetime of service and advocacy on behalf of the idea that all humans are worthy of equal treatment under the law, regardless of sex. Though we definitely wish she was still here with us, but to accept this award, we know that her memory is and will continue to be a blessing to us all. Here to accept the Lifetime Equal Rights Award on behalf of her legendary grandmother, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, is her granddaughter, Clara Spira, a civil rights attorney and advocate. Clara.
Thank you very much, Kimberly. It is a great honor to accept this posthumous bestowal on my grandmother, my bubby, of the ERA Coalition's Lifetime Equal Rights Award. As you have just heard and know, my grandmother devoted much of her legal advocacy and jurisprudence to making the need for an equal rights amendment less urgent than when it was first passed by the US Senate in 1972. But that did not mute her desire up until the time of her death to see the principle of gender equality expressly enshrined in the United States Constitution. It is particularly special for me, one of her 3 granddaughters, to accept this award, given that in her later years, she linked her wish to see an equal rights amendment directly to younger generations within her family, stating, quote, "I would like to see my granddaughters, when they pick up the Constitution, to see the notion that women and men are persons of equal stature. I'd like them to see that as a basic principle of our society." While she did not live to see that ambition realized, she was encouraged that new attempts to ratify the ERA were beginning to take shape. Thank you again for this award. And now, I am honored to, in turn, bestow the ERA Coalition's first annual Ruth Bader Ginsburg Award, an award to be designated to an individual determined to build a more equitable future for women and girls and all Americans. The deserving Ruth Bader Ginsburg Award honoree is Professor Kimberly Crenshaw. Professor Crenshaw is a civil rights activist, lawyer, and philosopher who coined the term intersectionality, how different facets of one's social identity combine to define their position and treatment in society, a concept which is now widely recognized. She co-founded the Center for Intersectionality and Social Policy Studies at Columbia University, as well as the African American Policy Forum. Professor Crenshaw launched the hashtag Say Her Name campaign to shine light on police brutality against Black girls and women. She helped establish the Critical Race Theory Workshop and continues to conduct educational programs on human rights. Currently, she is a distinguished professor at both UCLA School of Law and Columbia University Law School. Among current law school students and recent law school graduates across the country, she is a veritable icon. Indeed, a couple of years ago, when I called my mother, also a faculty member at Columbia Law School, to ask what her plans were for the evening, she told me that Professor Crenshaw was coming over for dinner. I was completely starstruck and could not believe that my mom had such cool friends. Mom reminded me that people were likely often starstruck by Bubby, but I protested that at least among my circle, having Kimberly Crenshaw over for dinner was the ultimate flex. It is now my honor and giddy privilege to present Professor Kimberly Crenshaw with the ERA Coalition Ruth Bader Ginsburg Award.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Clara. To be presented this award in this year by you, the granddaughter of such an iconic figure and the daughter of a valued colleague of mine, well, it really, really doesn't get any better than this. I'm so moved to receive this honor from the ERA Coalition. I'd be honored at any moment, actually, but to receive it during a period in which the stakes in equal rights are this high, it's so much more meaningful. In fact, to be blessed with such an acknowledgement during a time in which intersectionality and critical race theory have now been labeled as un-American by a president, as ungodly by conservative evangelicals, and worthy of derision, misinformation, and cancellation by those who claim to be opposed to cancel culture, well, it's a gift worth more than its weight in gold. I consider it a full suit of emotional armor, fortified by the fierce will of Justice Ginsburg and a squad of legal sheroes that include Polly Murray, Flo Kennedy, Mary Eastwood, Shirley Chisholm, along with some living legends that I've been blessed to suit up with, like Gloria Steinem, Catherine McKinnon, Paula Giddings, Bev Sheftaw, Ellie Schmiel, and of course, the great Carol Jenkins. So my excitement this day will now fuse with my consciousness with the day that I met Justice Ginsburg, a moment when my brain just emptied out of any sensible words that I could conjure up to have a normal conversation. And, there were plenty of things we could have talked about. We could have talked about the fact that we shared 4 institutions in common: Cornell, Harvard, ACLU, Columbia, or a particular person in common, her daughter, my colleague. But I was just stuck staring into the piercing intellect of a legal giant, speechless. Now, in retrospect, I believe that the words she uttered as she shook my hand, smiling, did me in. She said, "I've read your work." So that sent this surge of adrenaline through my body. I was thinking, did the work measure up? Do I measure up? Is my generation doing its part to run our lab so the next generation, her grandchildren, is able to do this run unencumbered? I spared her all the fangirling. I spared her the need for confirmation, and I tried to maintain my composure. I don't really think I was successful, but the question still sticks with me, as I'm sure it does with all of us. In the face of the threats to the very core of our democracy, in a setting in which the suppression of ideas and the suppression of votes seems to go hand in hand, are we rising to the challenge that she laid out before us? That of repairing our society, making its lofty ideals materially real? And are we doing all we can in true allyship to lift up unsung heroines like Justice Ginsburg did with Polly Murray? We are all heirs and stewards of the challenges that she took up, the tools she helped to craft, and most importantly, to the humble way that she went about moving mountains. Indeed, I'm perhaps most inspired by how she wanted to be remembered as someone who used whatever talent she had to do her work to the very best of her ability and to help repair tears in her society. Thank you, Justice Ginsburg, for the humble way in which you bequeathed your gifts to all of us, and to the ERA Coalition for allowing me this prescient moment to feel the warmth of her light. Thank you so much.
Paul Award is named for, of course, the suffragist and original author of the Equal Rights Amendment. Alice Paul was at the forefront of the fight to ratify the 19th Amendment, extending voting rights to women. One of her largest demonstrations that she organized occurred on March 13th of 1913, where over 8,000 women marched down Pennsylvania Avenue, picketed outside the White House, and demanded the right to vote. Paul authored the Equal Rights Amendment in 1920 and in 1923, introduced it in Congress, and spent the entire rest of her life fighting for its ratification. Paul and her fellow suffragists endured harassment, violence, imprisonment, hunger strikes, and more in pursuit of the cause of equality. She was a pioneer in the movement towards women's equality and continued to advocate for the ERA until her death in 1977. We are so excited to present the first ever Alice Paul Awards to our legislative champions in both houses, in both the House and the Senate. Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Ben Cardin of Maryland, Chairwoman Carolyn B. Maloney from New York, and Congresswoman Jackie Speer from California will all be honored tonight. You'll hear about them and from them throughout the evening, but it is our special pleasure to introduce Senator Ben Cardin of Maryland as the first recipient of the Alice Paul Award this evening. Senator Cardin has represented the great state of Maryland in the United States Senate since 2006. And while fighting for anti-corruption, transparency, and respect for human rights in our foreign policy, Senator Cardin has also advocated for gender equity both at home and abroad. He's the lead Democratic co-sponsor on the bill to remove the time limit for ratification on the Equal Rights Amendment. And with his Republican co-sponsor, Senator Lisa Murkowski, introduced SJ Res number 1. Oh, we love that, the ERA time limit removal bill, as a first day legislation in this 117th Congress, to show men and women alike that sex equality is a priority for this Congress, to enshrine the Equal Rights Amendment into the Constitution once and for all, and ensure women have equal protection under the law. It is my great pleasure to introduce our champion, Senator Ben Cardin. Senator, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Well, Carol, first of all, thank you for your extraordinary leadership and friendship and everything that you're doing for equality in our country. You're just one of our great leaders, and thank you. And what an honor it is to receive an award named after Alice Paul. She's our hero. She was in the forefront of women's suffrage, but recognized that was only the first step, that we needed to have equality in our Constitution. And then she fought for the Equal Rights Amendment. So it's a great honor. It's a great honor to be with you all tonight as you honor the late Justice Ginsburg. What an incredible leader and champion she was on women's rights. Clara gave you one of her famous lines about the provision in the Constitution that she could pick one that she would want to have included, and that was the Equal Rights Amendment. She started that statement by saying, every constitution written since the end of World War II includes a provision that men and women are citizens of equal stature. Ours does not. We're asked frequently, do we need the Equal Rights Amendment? The answer is yes, we do need the Equal Rights Amendment. We need the Equal Rights Amendment for so many reasons: the strict scrutiny standards to make sure that we can move forward with the inequalities that we still have on gender-based discrimination in America. We need it as the leader of the free world. We need to get this done. And here's the good news. 2021 should be, as you have declared, the year of the ERA, the year that we finally get the Equal Rights Amendment enacted into the Constitution. Congress has the power, and thank you for acknowledging my colleagues. I want to particularly thank Senator Murkowski for her help in the United States Senate and her leadership, but all of my colleagues for what they've done. Congratulations to the House of Representatives. House Joint Resolution 17 passed on St. Patrick's Day. The House has already extended the time. We have the constitutional right under Article 5 to do this. So this is our power in Congress. And as I think everyone here knows, that the last amendment, the 27th Amendment, took 203 years to get ratified. So we have the power to extend. We had the 38 states that ratified. This is the year we can get the job done. And with your help, this will be the year that the ERA is finally enacted. It is such an honor to be associated with all of you. Thank you for this recognition. And let's continue to work together so we can celebrate at long last the enactment of the Equal Rights Amendment in the Constitution of the United States. Thank you all. Let's continue to get the work done.
Thank you, Senator.
Hi, I'm Tony Hawk, and my vision for living equality comes through the lens of skateboarding, because I have seen skateboarding get to a much closer place to having equality in all respects, especially with more women skating and no judgment on sexual orientation or sexual preferences. And there are skate competition series that are devoted to female skaters these days. And the Olympics are coming up, and the Olympics are going to have equal disciplines, male and female, skateboarding in both of the events. And so for me, that's a big step. And I think that that's just the beginning, honestly. I mean, we have been a male-dominated sport for decades. We're finally getting close to equality, but we're not quite there yet. And so my hope is that my daughter is now 12, that she will grow up in an era of seeing women have that sort of access and have that sort of support, and to not be judged for being women, and to be welcomed into this great melting pot that I call skateboarding. So I see it coming, but it could definitely use a boost. It could definitely use some more voices, and it could definitely use someone to explain how we got here, because it wasn't easy, and there were some pioneers along the way, and there were some very important women, especially in my era, that skated, that I think paved the way for young women now to be skating. So I'm excited for the future. I feel like we are going to get there to living equality, especially in skateboarding, more so across the world in other interests. But we got a long way to go. So let's keep at it.
Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one blow from caving in? Do you ever feel already buried deep, 6 feet under screams, but no one seems to hear a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance for you, 'cause there's a spark in you? You just got to ignite the light and let it shine. Just on the night like the 4th of July. You don't have to feel like a waste of space. You're an original, cannot be replaced. If you only knew what the future holds, after a hurricane comes a rainbow. Maybe the reason why all the doors are closed, so you could open one that leads you to that perfect road. Like a lightning bolt, your heart will glow, and when it's time, you know, you just got to ignite the light and let it shine. Just on the night like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on and show 'em what you're worth. Make them go, oh, 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 as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come on and let your colors burst. Make them go, oh, oh, oh. You're gonna leave them all in awe. Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one blow from caving in?
Thank you, Tony and Karen. And like you, we envision a future for our children where all people will skate in equality and go to school in equality and work in equality. Equity happens when we can begin to implement the 28th Amendment, and we need your help to do it.
Every dollar raised helps us support our efforts to get the Senate to pass this resolution, the final resolution needed to enshrine the ERA in the Constitution. If we can raise $200,000, we can apply the pressure that is so desperately needed, especially in moderate Republican states.
Everything that has happened to move this to this point has been with the blood, sweat, and tears of so many people. The last 7 years, the ERA Coalition has led the way to the finish line. Research, hearings, advocacy, bringing this issue to the forefront of all civil and human rights advocates. please dig deep into your pockets because this fight is not over. And every $10,000, $5,000, $1,000, $100 you donate provides the tools we need to make sure that women and girls, gender expansive people of color who are most vulnerable to systemic inequities have rights. What we are talking about is equal rights, nothing more, nothing less.
You may have noticed that Tony Hawk has generously donated one of his skateboards to use to us this evening. You can head over to the URL you see on your screen to bid on Tony's skateboard. And remember, we have wonderful rewards for our first $100 and $500 donors tonight as well. And now it is my honor to bring back Kimberly Peeler-Allen, Chair of the ERA Board.
I love that quote from Shirley Chisholm. Our next presenter of the Shirley Chisholm Award this evening is someone who I think you all would agree carries the moniker Unbought and Unbossed as a badge of honor. She is leading some of the biggest and boldest fights on behalf of the voiceless, the people of the state of New York, and the nation. Letitia Tish James is the 67th Attorney General of the state of New York. Since being sworn into office in January of 2019 as the first African-American woman elected to statewide office in New York's history and the first woman elected Attorney General in New York, she has taken on the NRA and taken action to address gun violence, confronted those who abuse women and children, stood up for consumers and families, and made sure no man or business is too powerful to evade justice. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce my Attorney General, and most importantly, my dear friend, Attorney General Tish James.
Thank you, Kimberly. The Shirley Chisholm Award is named for the first African-American woman in Congress. In 1968 and in 1972, the first woman to run for president of these United States. And during her 7 terms as a congresswoman from New York, she introduced over 50 pieces of legislation that addressed racial and gender inequalities. In 1971, she founded the National Women's Political Caucus, which supports women running for elected office. And when she retired from the United States House of Representatives in 1983, she co-founded the National Political Congress of Black Women, which is dedicated to supporting Black women's empowerment. She was posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2015. And Shirley Chisholm is widely admired for her great courage and tenacity in representing women in the African-American community, which the recipients of our Shirley Chisholm Award protect in their work each and every day. Our deserving Shirley Chisholm honorees are my shiro, Latasha Brown, the co-founder of Black Voter Matters, and Nsé Ufot, the CEO of the New Georgia Project. Nsé leads the New Georgia Project. She's committed to developing tools that leverage technology with the goal of making it easier for every voter to engage in every election. And let me say that now, particularly in Georgia, every voter to engage in every election. Nsé and her team are also developing Georgia's homegrown talent by training and organizing local activists across the state. She's dedicated her life and her career to working on civil and human and workers' rights issues and fights every day to strengthen Georgia's democracy. And under Nsé's leadership, NGP has registered over 500,000 eligible Georgians to vote and has no plans of slowing down now. Latasha co-founded the Black Voters Matter organization, which empowers, educates, and engages Black voters and teaches them to build and maintain organizing structures in their own communities, taking matters in their own hands. And that is part of a strategy that creates power in Black communities. And BVM also fights to restore voting rights, ensure voting access, strengthen the Voting Rights Act, expand early voting, and resist voter ID laws. And together, alongside Stacey Abrams, Latasha, and Nsé, have inspired countless leaders in their communities, changed the outcome of elections, and increased turnout and engagement of Black voters. It is my honor and my privilege to honor them both with the ERA Coalition first ever Shirley Chisholm Award. We'll hear first from Nsé. Give it up for Nsé, everyone. A virtual applause. You have the floor.
Oh my goodness, thank you. So I'm here to tell you tonight, yes, I dare to say I'm going to run for the presidency. Regardless of the outcome, they will have to remember that a little 100-pound woman, Shirley Chisholm, shook things up. It's because of Congresswoman Chisholm and trailblazers like her, we have the courage to shake things up. So let me first say thank you. I'm humbled to be named the ERA Coalition and Fund for Women's Equality's Shirley Chisholm honoree. Shirley Chisholm was a courageous trailblazer, change agent, and tireless advocate for women and people of color. The first African-American woman in Congress, the first woman to seek nomination for the president of the United States from one of the major political parties, first African-American. And I see that our efforts with the New Georgia Project and the New Georgia Project Action Fund are possible because Shirley Chisholm had the audacity to believe that as a Black woman in the 1960s, her voice mattered. It did. And today, we at the New Georgia Project still believe that our voices matter. We've demonstrated that by helping over 500,000 young people and people of color to register to vote in all 159 of Georgia's counties. We've innovated how to do voter education with our digital media literacy efforts to combat misinformation and disinformation online about elections and about COVID. We've increased voter participation by giving thousands of rides to the polls and fighting against voter suppression with our video games and mobile apps and recruiting, training, and deploying thousands of volunteers over the past couple of election cycles. And by encouraging Georgia's home-based corporations to stand with us and defund voter suppression and the politicians who support and practice it. So on behalf of all of the Shirley Chisholms of the past, the present, and the future, I accept this honor. Never be silent, shake things up. Our vote and our voices matter. With deep, deep gratitude. Thank you.
And now I present to you the co-founder of Black Voter Matters, Miss Latasha Brown.
Thank you. Well, the first thing I did right was the day I started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on, hold on. You know, I'm so honored to receive this award and this recognition for an organization that I respect and admire and have been motivated, inspired by this work and this legacy. And then I'm looking on these faces on here, from Deborah to Gloria Steinem to Eleanor to Tina Chin to you, Sister Leticia. Thank all of you, and Carol Jenkins, who I've known for a number of years. I just thank you all who have been on the front lines, really taking care of business, on the front lines, making sure that we have justice, on the front lines, making sure that we're not just making a better world for women, we're making a better world for all of us. That knowing that literally if we're uplifting and making sure that we're uplifting the rights of women, that in fact we're changing the world, that we're creating space for all of us, that anytime you let a little light in a room that disrupts darkness. And so even as I sing that song, there are women that I know, and so many women that we don't know their names, so many many women who we don't know their names, may not know the work that they've done, but they've laid the foundation for us to be here. You know, when we talk about even the voting rights movement, in which I'm a native of Selma, Alabama, we know the names of the men that were on the front lines. We know the names of those that were beaten on the bridge, but many folks don't know that it was Amelia Boynton who actually organized the voting rights movement in Selma. Many folks know around what happened in the Montgomery bus boycott, and they know that Rosa Parks, but they saw the leadership from the men. Many don't know it was the women who had organized before that. And so when there has been change, there's always a woman around. And so I'm honored for a couple of reasons. One, to actually have an award with the name bearing Shirley Chisholm, someone who I admire and aspire, just to have a little, like it would say, just touch a little of hem of her garment is a major honor. The second honor is, if anybody for me to share an award with on the face of this earth that gives me honor, my sister, Nse Ufat, who has literally done the work, continues to do the work, just literally just her spirit, her brilliance, her innovation. You know, I'm so incredibly proud and really honored to be in a space and to walk on this earth with you, my sister. And third, to really be able to be acknowledged by these women who are sitting here taking care of business. I just want to say, and as I close, this is our moment, this is our time, not because someone has given us permission, because we are certain and we are firm in ourselves that ultimately, like, we are to take our rightful place. The men have had it long enough, right? We saw what they came up with, right? But we are more innovative and creative. And so what I am saying is the world actually needs us. It needs our voice. It needs our vision. You know, oftentimes I ask the question, what would America look like without racism? What would America look without sexism? If we can just imagine and use our radical reimaginations to really create what that vision would be and literally enfold others in this vision, think about how the world would actually change, and think about that song the world would be singing. So thank you so much. I'm extremely grateful to receive this honor and this recognition. And sisters, we got a lot of more work to do, but this is our moment. This is our time.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life for this moment to arrive. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of the dark black night. Blackbird fly into the light of the dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to arrive. You were only waiting for this moment to arrive. You were only waiting for this moment to arrive.
What an evening. I hope you're all inspired. Thank you to Broadway's Philippa Sue and Ormateus for that beautiful production. I'm so proud to introduce Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska as our second Alice Paul honoree this evening. Senator Murkowski has served as a U.S. Senator for Alaska since 2002. Along with then Senator Kamala Harris, she has introduced the Empower Act in 2019, which prevents non-disclosure clauses in employee contracts, with the goal of empowering people to speak up about harassment without the fear of employee retaliation. She also co-sponsored a resolution in 2020 called the Providing Urgent Maternal Protections for Nursing Mothers Act, which provides salaried employees in office environments dedicated break times and spaces for breast milk pumping. Along with Senator Ben Cardin, Senator Lisa Murkowski is the lead co-sponsor of SJ Res 1, the resolution to remove the time limit of the Equal Rights Amendment.
Hello, I'm U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski, and I'm glad to be able to join you for this special event. Courageous women have been pushing for basic equal rights for a century now. These include women like Alice Paul, who understood that excluding women from the rights and responsibilities enshrined in our Constitution was, and still is, a grave error, and that failing to legally acknowledge men and women as equals undermines the liberty of all Americans and the core principles on which our country was founded. As the leader of the National Women's Party, Alice Paul was a major driving force behind ratification of the 19th Amendment. During her campaign for women's suffrage, Alice was imprisoned, force-fed, and treated brutally for her advocacy. And yet she showed strength and dignity in the face of unimaginable circumstances, all for the sake of the rights that women enjoy today. It is an honor to receive an award in her name and to work alongside so many of you to help ensure that women's rights are equal rights, explicitly recognized under the Constitution. Together, we have made progress in raising awareness and building support, and I'm optimistic. This is the first Congress to begin with the necessary 38 states having ratified the amendment. SJ Res 1 was the first bipartisan piece of legislation that Senator Cardin and I introduced in the 117th Congress. That's a priority, signaling what a priority it is for both of us. I'd like to give a special thank you to Bettina and Carol at the Equal Rights Coalition for their tireless advocacy, and to Senator Cardin for his leadership on this important initiative. And of course, to everyone who has been working the halls of state legislatures and pushing to get local representatives on board, you are truly the reason that we're getting closer and closer to our goal. So thank you again for honoring me with this special award and for all that you are doing in the name of equality. Thank you and take care.
Sorry. Tonight, we have already witnessed firsthand the greatness of American women, from the Honorable Ruth Bader Ginsburg to Kimberly Crenshaw to Nsé Ufot to Latasha Brown. Now get a hold of this.
Easily.
Oh my God! Fucking to the
Oh my God. Muito da hora, mano.
What you just witnessed was the great Lizzie Armanto as she became the first woman to complete Tony Hawk's incredible 360 loop. And here is Lizzie herself.
Hi, I'm Lizzie Armanto, and I'm donating this skateboard to the ERA Coalition. This board was one of my first pro models that I got and was able to ride. And I believe equality is living in a world where I can pursue my interests and be appreciated for my talents without being put in a category and free from fabricated and imagined restraints. Thanks for your time and generosity. Hopefully I'll see you guys from the 2021 Olympics in Tokyo.
Thank you, Lizzie, for your words and for your generous and very cool donation, which all of you can bid on right now at the URL on your screen. This is the perfect time to remind everyone that every dollar raised tonight helps us support our efforts to get the Senate to pass the resolution, the final resolution, needed to enshrine the ERA in the Constitution. If we can raise $200,000, we can put the pressure that is needed.
And we've given you so many ways to do that tonight, from bidding on Tony and Lizzie skateboards to wine packages from Kiplinger Wines to a Diageo whiskey basket and to $100 and $500 donations that reward you with your own 28th Amendment necklace or signed Gloria Steinem t-shirt while supplies last.
And we're going to add one more. Just like Lizzie broke barriers with her 360 loop, Brenda Berkman broke barriers as the sole named class plaintiff in the sex discrimination lawsuit that opened the fire department of the city of New York to women firefighters. Brenda won that lawsuit in 1982, opening the door for herself and 40 other women to become FDNY firefighters. So in honor of Brenda and the ERA, the next person to donate $200 will receive an autographed copy of the children's book, Send a Girl, the true story of how women joined the FDNY.
And with that, it's time to move on to our next unbelievably amazing honorees. Please welcome back ERA's President and CEO, Carol Jenkins.
Well, thanks so much.
I wanted to read a little piece that I wrote for this evening. I'm 10 years old and sitting in the back seat of our Dodge Caravan between my younger sister Maggie and my brother Andrew. My parents are listening to a Judy Collins cassette tape and I hear the lyric, "Freedom doesn't come like a bird on the wing." We're driving to my grandparents' house for dinner. We do this every Friday and it's something that I look forward to all week. My grandmother is an amazing cook and she plays a mean game of Uno. She lets me sit next to her while she plays the piano and sings from the Rodgers and Hammerstein songbook. She reads 3 newspapers a day and knows more about history than anyone in our family. I like hearing stories about her growing up on a farm in northern Michigan where her sisters were certain that her intelligence would be a liability and that she would end up a spinster librarian. But she met my grandfather and they moved to the Jefferson Chalmers neighborhood on the east side of Detroit where they raised 7 children. She sewed their clothes and darned their socks and planted a garden and still managed to devour literature from the local library. And when Black families started moving into the neighborhood, she went over to their houses and introduced herself. In fact, she and my grandfather were so welcoming that one evening they came home to a cross burning on their front lawn. My mother told me this story at a young age as a sort of window into the kind of family we were trying to be. Freedom is a hard-won thing, I hear Judy Collins sing. My own mother was not a good cook. She could sew and we ate tomatoes from her garden every summer, but mostly she worked. She was a Detroit public school teacher and union rep. She was arrested for protesting the Vietnam War, and it felt like everywhere she went, she was standing up to the patriarchy. Just a few days prior to this trip to my grandparents, she had gotten into an argument with 2 well-meaning women at the mall who had set up a table for mothers against drunk driving. My mother marched over to them. "So fathers don't need to take any responsibility for our children's drunk driving?" she asked them. It was embarrassing. Judy Collins' voice rings out, "You've got to work for it, fight for it, day and night for it." And why am I telling you about my mother and her mother? Well, for some reason, as soon as I was asked to be a part of this event, I thought of them, of the generations of women that came before me, who have fought tirelessly so that I can work and parent and move through the world with more freedom and opportunity than they did. They're both gone now, but if they knew that I was getting to be a part of an evening for the ERA, I think their hearts would be bursting with pride, and they would also be seriously pissed that we are still having to fight this fight. I remember hearing an interview on NPR where a panel of women were talking about their activism and organizing. And when the question was asked, what brought you to this work? Every single one of them replied, my mother. I know that that's true for me as well. Mothers are the moral compasses of our society. My grandmother fought against injustice, and so my mother did as well, and now I'm trying to do the same. I'm gonna leave you with that Judy Collins song. It's called Pass It On. Freedom doesn't come like a bird on the wing, doesn't come down like the summer rain. Freedom, freedom is a hard-won thing. You've got to work for it, fight for it, day and night for it. And every generation's got to win it again. Pass it on to your children, brother. Pass it on to your children, mother. You've got to work for it, fight for it, day and night for it. Pass it on to your children. Pass it on.
Oh, yeah, right. Thank you for that, Celia, so much. Well, as you might imagine, we named our Gloria Steinem Living Equality Award after the legendary activist, Gloria Steinem, who, as some of you may know, is a dear friend of mine. And it has been the honor of my life to work beside her and to learn so much from her about the struggle for equality. And we're just thrilled that she's here tonight, and let us honor the honorees and her by naming this the Gloria Steinem Award. In 1968, Gloria helped found New York Magazine when she became an editor and political writer, focused on the feminist movement, and then after that, she founded Ms. Magazine, as we all now know, and owned by the feminist majority, being carried on there. Thank you, Ellie, Kathy Spiller, for that, and Gloria for doing that. And of course, founded the Ms. Foundation, the Women's Media Center, Equality Now, Donor Direct Action, help, do all of these things in the world. It's a constant. She's constantly working. In 2013, she was presented with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. A nice way to honor one's life only halfway through. She embodies a determination to foster and elevate the voices of women, most especially the voices of women of color and Black women. This determination is also present in our honorees' work. Here with us tonight to present the Living Equality Award, named after her, is my dear, brilliant friend, Gloria Steinem. Gloria, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Carol. I mean, I have been watching everything, and I've been at this. I believe Ellie Smeal and I probably have been at this longer than anyone else, right, Ellie? And I have never been more moved and impressed and knocked out and touched. And I mean, this is what movements are all about. They are communities. They are chosen families. And I'm so grateful to all of you. And I'm especially grateful that I have the honor of presenting the Living Equality Award to two seriously great women who bring worlds together in the most creative way. Michelle Kidd Lee is the Chief Innovation Officer at CAA, the Creative Artists Agency. I love innovation and creative that's in there because she definitely is that. Those words have never been better used. And I would also add trust, because that may be the single most important quality that allows us to be effective, to work together. She is trusted. And Tina Chen, who is president and CEO of Time's Up Now and Time's Up Foundation. She has been bringing together people from the White House to Hollywood. She is making sure that the workplace is a safe and dignified place for everyone. She founded Time's Up Legal. They are definitely bringing worlds together in all kinds of new ways. And I am so proud to be any kind of preface to these, can I use my favorite word? To these two fan-fucking-tastic women. Is that allowed? Anyway, I'm so glad to be presenting this award to both of them. Let's see, Tina, can we hear from you first?
Oh, Gloria. Okay. I'm sort of speechless because the idea that, first of all, Gloria Steinem just gave that introduction with my name in it, and that I'm receiving this Gloria Steinem Living Equality Award is sort of beyond, because, you know, as a young girl growing up in the 60s and 70s, Chinese American girl growing up in a Jewish neighborhood in the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio, where there was no one around who looked like me, Gloria Steinem taught me what feminism was before I knew that that was a word, or before I knew what that meant, or what it was that I was feeling as this young girl of color when that wasn't even a term, right, back then. So this is sort of, I have chills all over right now, sort of in this moment. And then to get it alongside my dear friend, Michelle Kidley, is also beyond words. Michelle is everything that Gloria just said. But, you know, here's the thing. What is it about our movement? What is it about it that's so special? What is it about that's formed us and has us on right the verge of victory after a century for the ERA? It's sisterhood. That's another thing that Gloria and Ellie taught us is the key, our secret sauce that we have that no other movement has is sisterhood. And Michelle Kidley embodies that sisterhood. She is the person who is creative and innovative. She's the person who dragged me into her office when I just happened to be in Los Angeles in the fall of 2017 to describe these meetings that had started to happen in the wake of Harvey Weinstein. And it was actually in her office where we hashed the idea for the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund. But she's more than that, because Michelle always brings people together, not just to do the movement work that's important, but she never forgets the individual women. She's the kind of person who is always checking in on you and always making sure you're okay, always making sure that while you're out there doing the work that you're taking care of yourself, and she takes care of you. And it's incredible to have you as my dear friend and my sister. And then finally, the ERA, to be here with the ERA Coalition. Ellie knows this story because she and I first met in 1978 when I just graduated from college, found myself in Springfield, Illinois, working for state government in the middle of the hotbed of American feminism, Springfield, Illinois, back in 1978. And it shaped the rest of my life. Being a part of that effort failed at the time to get Illinois to ratify the ERA, which we finally got 2 years ago, 40 years later, but never too late, shaped the rest of my life and shaped the commitment and the activism that I live at to this day. And so here we are, this moment where after all that time, my entire adult life spent working on the ERA and gender equity, we are on the verge. This is it. We have the states, we have the Senate and the House and the White House. We can get that resolution passed. We can get the time limit, which has nothing to do with the Constitution or the amendment, off the books. And we can make equal rights, put women into the Constitution for the first time, put equal rights into the Constitution for the first time. It could not come at a more important time for our country, for our sons and for our daughters, to really bring true equality to this land. So thank you, Gloria, the ERA Coalition. I am inspired by everything tonight and everyone tonight, and I'm so, so deeply honored to accept this award. Thank you.
Tina, Gloria, in the too much information category and the fact that we are all sisters, brand new, I'm having a perimenopausal like heat flash right now and sweating like crazy. So please know that it is because I am so moved. Gloria is she's on my first call for every issue, every question, every moment of inspiration. And I will absolutely say that Time's Up would not have been able to even begin without her incredible counsel and wisdom and every step along the way to help us understand where we could be of best service. And I will also say that one of the elements of our sisterhood is we refer to ourselves as joyful warriors. And it is so wonderful to be surrounded by so many joyful warriors here tonight. And the other part that I just want to say about what Gloria brings, and again, why this makes it's so touching, is that laugh, you know, that humor that she brings to this, and the joy. And what I want to just make sure that I represent here tonight on behalf of all of the women who make up the movement behind Time's Up, along with Tina's incredible leadership, and thank every deity there is in the world that we have such a wonderful leader at Time's Up as Tina guiding the way. Which, by the way, never follow the lawyer who's got all the great stats and all the great policies. Just like I just have to go to the messy human place, because I can't go anywhere without making sure that I share that. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you to the ERA for giving me even the moment to be here with you today. But I just want to make sure that in the time, which has been incredibly challenging for all of us collectively, that we remember our joy, that we remember and we tap into that part that is our womanness, even if it gives us the sweats on all kinds of different ways. That's actually our superpower. Our superpower is being with each other, remaining human every step of the way, and laughing. And Gloria, you remind me every single day that instead of raging at the moon, which is what I want to do, I try to laugh. So thank you all so much. I want to take my humor and I want to take this deeply, deeply inside of me. And I wish that everybody I knew could have been here tonight, because this isn't going to get any better than this. This is as great as it gets. Thank you so much. I'm with you in all spirit and power and ways. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie J. Block, and it is my hope and my dream, I guess for all of us that are here supporting the ERA, that everyone could live their true, authentic self and be embraced and be not tolerated, but celebrated. And with that, feel safe and joyous walking through life for their pursuit of happiness and being protected. And that's what we're here for tonight, to work toward that. I think this song perfectly words that. It's an anthem, certainly is an anthem for me. From Funny Girl, this is Don't Rain on My Parade.
Don't tell me not to live, just sit and putter. Life's candy and the sun's a ball of butter. Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade. Don't tell me not to fly, I've simply got to. If someone takes a spill, it's me, not you. Who told you you're allowed to rain on my parade? I'll march my band out, I will beat my drum, and if I'm fanned out, you're turning bad, sir. At least I didn't fake it, sir. I guess I didn't make it, but whether I'm the rose of shoe perfection, a freckle on the nose of life's complexion, the cinder or the shiny apple of its eye, I gotta try once, I gotta fly once, only can die once, right, sir? Ooh, life is juicy, juicy, and you'll see I gotta have my bite, sir. Get ready for me, love, 'cause I'm a cover. I've simply gotta march, my heart's a drummer. Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade. I'm gonna live and live now, get what I want, I know how. One roll for the whole shebang, one throw that there will go clang. I on the target and wham, one shot
way to bring it. Thank you, Stephanie. That was phenomenal. Sophie Kelly has had a colorful career in marketing spanning more than 2 decades and multiple continents. Under her leadership, Diageo's whiskey portfolio has achieved unprecedented success. Some of their iconic brands have gone carbon neutral, supported the hospitality industry, celebrated Black creatives, and become a leading voice in women's equality initiatives. Sophie continues to champion an agenda of sustainability, inclusivity, and diversity across the brands she manages. Sophie, over to you.
Hi, everybody. I'm so delighted to be amongst all of the amazing guests tonight. And a huge congratulations to tonight's honorees. From all of us at Jane Walker, this toast is for you. We couldn't be prouder to be part of this incredible moment with the ERA Coalition. Living equality means all of us actively participating in this journey to constitutional equality, celebrating the achievements of women, but also enabling more opportunities for more female firsts. We're thrilled to have some of our Jane Walker First women here tonight, Billie Jean King and Lily Singh, to give their vision for a world where we are truly living equally. These women have paved the way in culture to be first so that there would be more seconds, thirds, and fourths to follow. And just like them, the ERA has continued to reach massive milestones, but we have much, much more work to do, and everybody can take part in that. So here's to the continued fight for equality. Cheers, and thank you to all the badass women out there.
Hi, I'm Billie Jean King, and I'm honored to work with the Equal Rights Amendment Coalition and Jane Walker to continue our drive toward living equality. Living equality is that moment when we all have the access and the opportunity to show up, stand up, speak up. Women in particular are always asked to settle for less, to be grateful for the crumbs. We deserve more. We want the cake, the icing, and the cherry on top. This is our moment to think big, to believe in ourselves, and to ask for what we want and need. So here's to continuing to push through these barriers and believing in true equality.
Hi, my name is
Cheers.
Lily Singh, and what living equality means to me is that everyone has a chance and has the opportunities to make their mark on this world. You know, growing up in South Asian culture, I remember my mom telling me stories about how she was nervous to tell some of her family members that she had a second daughter because, you know, having a daughter is not something that's really celebrated in not only South Asian culture, but in many cultures around the world. And, you know, when we look at that in combination with the lack of access to education that a lot of women have around the world, the lack of access to women's rights or health or just opportunity in general, it makes me really sad, not only for myself, but for the world, because I truly believe the world would benefit if women were given equal opportunity to make their mark on the world. You know, we've seen time and time again that technology favors those who build technology. Systems favor those who build the systems. And if we don't have women as part of that process, we will continuously not be represented in those rooms, and those technologies and those systems will continuously not work for us. And so living equality means to me that women around the world are given rights. They're given access to education, access to healthcare, access to having to tools that teach them how to have a voice, you know, the confidence they need, how to ask questions. Why? Because when you educate a woman, it has a ripple effect. You know, you then educate the family, the community, the country. It's been proven time and time again, women are the primary caregivers of families across the world. And so living equality means that we just destroy the culture of women not being worthy to have access. And we challenge that and we say, no, we need women to have opportunity because everyone will benefit. And so that's what living equality means to me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Billie Jean King and Lily Singh, for your wise words and your hopes and aspirations for us in the future. Congresswoman Jackie Spear is our next Alice Paul Award honoree. Congresswoman Spear has been a fearless fighter during her career for women's equality, LGBTQ rights, and the disenfranchised people of this country. She is the co-chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus, the Congressional American Caucus, the Bipartisan Task Force to End Sexual Violence, and the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force. She also continues to advocate for fundamental reforms to end the epidemic of sexual assault in the military and on college campuses. And she is leading the fight against sexism in the fields of science, technology, and academia overall. Most of all, she is at the forefront to increase the efforts to increase constitutional protections against sex discrimination through the ratification of the ERA and to end gender-based discrimination in the pricing of goods and services through the passage of the Pink Tax Repeal Act. I'm so proud to honor Congresswoman Jackie Speer with the Alice Paul Award from the ERA Coalition and the Fund for Women's Equality. On
Thank
behalf...
Can I take some close-ups of you without your glasses?
Lie down. Sit down. Lie down. Lie down. He has to be in everything.
My name is Polly Murray, and my field of concentration has been human rights. My whole personal history has been a struggle to meet standards of excellence in a society which has been dominated by the ideas that blacks were inherently inferior to whites and women were inherently inferior to men.
The Polly Murray Award is named for the gender-fluid queer feminist activist and lawyer who you just saw on the screen. Polly Murray was an activist, feminist lawyer, writer, and the first African-American person to become an Episcopal priest in the United States in the mid-1940s. Murray coined the name Jane Crow to connect the racial and gender discrimination that women of color faced. They also helped found the Congress of Racial Equality in 1942 and the National Organization for Women in 1966. Some of their most famous publications include States' Laws on Race and Color, which was described by Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall as the Bible for civil rights litigators. Murray was named a co-author on the brief for the 1971 case, Reed versus Reed by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and RBG credited Murray for shaping her own work on sex discrimination. Murray was gender fluid and repeatedly sought gender-affirming hormone therapy, but was denied. Perhaps their most important contribution to contemporary politics was the early advancement of intersectional thinking regarding gender and race. Our very deserving honorees for the Polly Murray Award are labor rights leader Dolores Huerta and women's rights leader Ellie Schmiel. Dolores Huerta needs no introduction. She co-founded the National Farm Workers Association with fellow organizer Cesar Chavez. She fought for the rights of farm workers in California to collectively organize and bargain for better wages and working conditions. Huerta spent 2 years traveling on behalf of the Feminist Majority's 50-50 by the year 2000 campaign, encouraging Latinas across the country to run for office. As president of the Dolores Huerta Foundation, she continues to spend her time influencing legislation and campaigns unstemmingly supporting civil rights and the ERA. Ellie Schmiel, again, someone who needs no introduction, was a co-founder of the Feminist Majority Foundation, a former president of Murray's group, the National Organization for Women, and is currently the publisher of Ms. Magazine. Since founding the Feminist Majority, Ellie has had major legislative impacts on the lives of women, not to mention her continuous and tireless and long work to get the ERA added to our Constitution. Her advocacy on behalf of women's equality has led her to fight for lesbian and gay rights, social security fairness, and reproductive rights. It is such an honor for me to present the Pauli Murray Award to Dolores Huerta and Ellie Schmiel for their lifetime of advocacy to end oppression and discrimination based on sex. We're delighted to hear first from Ellie and then from Dolores. Over to you, Ellie.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What a night. I agree totally with Gloria. This has been absolutely marvelous. And I'm particularly honored to receive the Pauli Murray Award. I was lucky enough to know her and to work a little bit with her. As you know, she founded NOW. And I was at that time extremely active in NOW, and then the president of NOW in the 70s. So I couldn't be happier. But, you know, when you receive an award, it makes you think of all the people you've worked with. And I'm so happy to see so many of them here tonight. I hope everybody gets a chance to see this tape. But our work constantly with the civil rights movement, with the women's rights movement, with the LGBTQIA movement, we were all in this together. We're trying to make the world a better place. And there's so many people who've been involved. As Tina says, she started as a very young person right out of college with our Illinois campaign. In fact, who was her immediate supervisor was Alice Cohen, who's still with us today in this ERA coalition. We are here for our lives because we know that winning the Equal Rights Amendment will help countless millions of women, especially women of color or marginalized women, but every woman. And we're so close. We just need the Senate vote now. And I want to salute the leadership of Carol Jenkins and of Bettina Hager, who and all of us who are working together. And it has been, I know it's hard work, but it has been fun too, because we know that we're close. We know our cause is right. We know that we can do it. And every little game has been played with us in all the states. And I want to salute everybody that was part of the Nevada campaign, the Illinois campaign, the Virginia campaign, but then all the campaigns before that, not only to get this federal ERA, but to get state ERAs. And now we have them in 24 states. It's been so many people, but we have worked together. We have been mostly women, but there's been a lot of men too. And there's certainly been people from with different gender identities, with the trans movement. It's been everybody coming together to not only right a wrong, but to make it a better place. And now I want to also salute Dolores, who's receiving this with me. We have had such a time working together, working for farm workers' rights, but mostly working for justice. And when you work with a person like Dolores, you can't help but being happy. You can't help but being proud. She's always there. She's always speaks up at the right time. And she always tells us, "See safe, puede." And we know it will happen. We can do it.
Dolores, please unmute yourself if you could.
She's trying.
Okay. Yay.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh,
well, thank you very much. I feel very honored to be receiving an award with Ellie Schmiel, who is my mentor. She and Gloria really turned me into being a true feminist, an active feminist. And we know we have a lot of work out there to do with many women who are not here with us the way that they should be, especially now when we have all of this work to do to get the Equal Rights Amendment, voted on by the U.S. Senate. You know, Coretta Scott King said that we will never have peace in the world until women take power. Well, we know that women cannot take power until they get all of the opportunities that are out there for them, the same opportunities that men have. So we still have an awful lot of work to do. I am very, very grateful to be part of the feminist movement, to be a board member of the Feminist Majority Foundation. But I know that all of us together, that we can make sure that we do win equality for women. But it's not going to happen unless we really work very hard, because we know that there are, unfortunately, not everybody in the U.S. Senate thinks the way that we do. So we really have to do a national campaign to be sure and put a lot of, I'm going to say the word heat on some of those senators that may not understand why it's important for women to have the equal rights, and to make sure that we make this part of the Constitution of the United States. I'm honored to be here with all of you wonderful, great women leaders. And now that we are preparing for this war that we have, because I really have to, I see it in terms of a campaign. It's almost like a war, and the war that we're doing is the war against sexism, the war against misogyny, the war against racial injustice, everything that everybody has been suffering, especially women of color. But we know that we do have the energy, we've got the intelligence, and we've definitely got the will to make this happen. So we're all going to work very hard for the Equal Rights Amendment. And this is the time right now, because we can feel it. We feel this consciousness that is going in, this climate that is going on in our country right now, to end all of the legacy of slavery, whether it comes to racial injustice, and that definitely then, you know, also turns into the discrimination against women. So it's up to us, and we know that we can do it. And as Ellie said, yes, we can. Si se puede. And I want to thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this wonderful event today. Muchas gracias. Si se puede. Thank you.
Dolores, what an absolute pleasure to have you here. First of all, we hear you going all over the country, including to the White House, and talking about the Equal Rights Amendment. So for that, we thank you so much. But today is also your birthday, and you have made time for us here. I know you're celebrating with your family, but we do want to, I think that they're going to unmute everyone so that we can sing happy birthday to you, and thank you so much for the years of powerful work that you have done. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dolores. Happy birthday to you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Up, get up, dance up, get up, sing up, get up, change everything. Up, get up, dance up, get up, sing up, get up, change everything. Silence must stop, violence must end, broken body and spirit will rise again. Strength in numbers, take a stand, right the wrongs, don't ask a man. If one woman hurts, if one woman cries, if one man bleeds, rise, rise. Up, get up, dance up, get up, sing up, get up, change everything. Up, get up, dance up, get up, sing up, get up, change everything. Brothers, sisters, women, girls, time is now to change the world. No story forgotten, no soul erased, no promise left empty, we're taking our place. If one woman hurts, if one woman cries, if one man bleeds, rise, rise. What time is it? Get up, get up, get up, get up. What time is it? Get up, get up, get up. What time is it? What time is it? What time is it? one woman, if one woman cries, one woman, if one man bleeds. Rise, rise, up, get up, dance up, get up, sing up, get up, change everything. Up, get up, dance up, get up, sing up, get up, change everything. What time is it? Time to rise up!
I am pleased to introduce Chairwoman Carolyn B. Maloney, who represents New York's 12th Congressional District, as our final Alice Paul Award winner. Chairwoman Maloney has represented parts of New York City in Congress since 1993. She is the current sponsor of H.J. Res. 28 to ratify the ERA and recognize it as the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. She is the chair of the Committee on Oversight and Reform and former chair of the Joint Economic Committee, the first woman to hold both gavels. A champion of women, Congresswoman Maloney is the longtime House sponsor of the ERA. Her late husband was actually a relative of Alice Paul, the original co-author of the amendment. She has authored and helped pass legislation that targets sex trafficking and is the co-chair of the Congressional Caucus on Human Trafficking. And here with us today, the next Alice Paul Award winner, Chairwoman Carolyn Maloney.
Kimberly, thank you so much. And it is so lovely to be here tonight with so many Equal Rights Amendment warriors. I see so many constituents and friends and people I've worked with, like Ali Smeal, Gloria Steinem, Carol Jenkins, Deborah Messing, and Jessica Neuwirth. Thank you so much for your tireless work to get us into the Constitution once and for all. I truly believe that we should be honoring the ERA Coalition today because they are responsible for a great deal of the success that we've had recently. I remember when I first went to Congress, my North Star, my main goal was to get women into the Constitution. And I knew it would be difficult and that it would require complete and total singleness of purpose. And as an elected officials can't do that. We have too many demands. We have to do too many things in one day. And my first goal was to help form an organization that was focused completely and solely on ratifying the Equal Rights Amendment. There are many organizations that support it, hundreds, but one that would have that razor focus, that sharp pencil that would work on it every day, which was what it was needed to get across the finish line. So I met with Jessica Neuwirth and Carol Jenkins, and the rest is history. The work of the ERA Coalition has been invaluable and is a big, big part of the reason we have made such extraordinary progress on the amendment in recent years. We are so close, and it is an honor to be recognized with the Alice Paul Award along with my colleagues, Representative Speer and Senators Cardin and Murkowski. And it is a particular significance to me because Alice Paul is my family's great aunt. Almost 100 years ago, she, along with many other determined women and like-minded men, drafted the Equal Rights Amendment and had it introduced in Congress in 1923. In the House of Representatives, it was introduced by Susan B. Anthony's nephew, Congressman Daniel Anthony. In 1972, when Alice Paul heard that the ERA had passed with an arbitrary time limit included in the preamble, she realized that this was just another roadblock thrown in by opponents of women's rights in order to defeat the amendment. She famously said, and I quote, "I never doubted that equal rights was the right direction. Most reforms, most problems are complicated. But to me, there is nothing complicated about ordinary equality," end quote. Today, we have the opportunity to make history to help make equality a reality for our mothers, our daughters, granddaughters, ourselves, we must make it clear that there is no time limit on equality. If a legislator added it, then the legislation and the legislature can remove it, which is what we have done in the House of Representatives and what we must do in the Senate this year. Women have demanded to be included in the Constitution since it was first written in 1787, and we deserve for the 28th Amendment to the Constitution to be about us. By cementing gender equality in the Constitution and making freedom from discrimination on the basis of sex a fundamental protected right, we can finally make the dreams of millions of American women a reality and give ourselves the bedrock protections we need and deserve. Our rights should not be dependent on who is in the White House or on the Supreme Court or the whims of legislators. They must be guaranteed, dead solid in the Constitution. Thank you so much for continuing this struggle until we cement the ERA into the Constitution, whatever it takes. I thank everyone here for being such an important part of this effort. It was inspiring beyond words to be with so many outstanding women who have done so much to help people, including working to put women into the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Maloney. Thank you to every one of our honorees, to Carol Jenkins and the entire staff at the ERA Coalition.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you to everyone in our audience tonight. It has been a joy to share all of this with you. They say timing is everything, and the time has never been richer for us to move forward with this work and move toward a successful vote in the Senate in the very near future.
Who would have thought that an award show would be so much fun? Maybe the amazing Laura Bell Mundy, who is going to take us out tonight with Girls Just Wanna Have Fun.
Come home in the morning light. My mouth says, when you gonna live your life right? Oh, Mother dear, we're not the fortunate ones. And girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna have fun. Phone rings in the middle of the night. My father yells, what you gonna do with your life? Oh, Daddy dear, you know you're still number one. Girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna have, that's all they really want. Some fun. When the working day is done, girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna have fun. Girls wanna have fun. Girls wanna have some